It's called Gaming is Now for the Rich. I think this actually did happen. I do. I think that we're in a situation now where gaming is so expensive, and especially like with this PlayStation update, oh my God, it's bad. Like, I think it'll get better. I do. But right now, it is not good.
Imagine being blamed for not buying enough when they're the ones that are making everything too expensive to buy. How many of you guys have been sitting around asking, when is this going to stop? It's now gotten to the point where the price to just live, let alone even buy a video game, is getting out of the reach of damn near everyone. And now we have PlayStation raising their prices for the second time in less than a year, $100 across the board. And this is coming off of the tail of other price increases that we've seen already throughout the entire industry. Nintendo, Xbox, PC gaming hardware. It just feels like it won't stop. All these guys are sitting around, these executives, talking about how all these price increases are supposed to feel inevitable. They can cry AI, they can talk about market headwinds, they can talk about shortages or inflation or whatever they want. But at the end of the day, all this is these are companies that do not want to take any accountability. They would much rather hand over and pass down their mistakes to you, the customer, and make you pay the cost of it. This entire industry is just going to eat itself alive.
Somebody in chat said it. This is the Concord tax. This is our punishment for not liking Concord. We thought that we got away with it. But that $400 million, they're going to have to make it up somewhere. And now it's time to pay up.
I want to talk about where these prices are coming from. How apparently now video games are being made for the rich. What that's going to do for society. And also how all of this is just going to end up in flames. Fast forward to today, and, well, the last couple of years have been nothing but constant headlines about prices going up again and again.
Back in the day, you had, like, different price points for different qualities of game. So, like, the best video games, Super Mario, Yoshi's Island, Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, like the expansive 100-hour, 50-hour video games from back in the 90s, those games were like $50-$60. They were really expensive. I heard a couple of them were like 70, right? They were a lot of money. The more mid-level games, like Jurassic Park or, you know, Super Mario World, they were like $50. And then you had the $40 games that were like the more arcadey games, like, you know, Pocky and Rocky. And then you even had games that were below that were like movie games or like, you know, promotional games, stuff like that. So back in the day, you had a better price gradation for these different games based off of like what the product was supposed to be. Now, everything basically is like $60 or $70. And I think that's not really accurate.
First, it was Xbox with Game Pass, then it was Xbox hardware went up, not once, but twice. Now here we are, just 8 months later, again, with PlayStation increasing the price of the PlayStation Pro to $899, which is basically brushing up against $1,000 after tax.
Oh my God.
PlayStation excused this on their website, saying, with continued pressures in the global economic landscape, we have made the decision to increase the prices of PS5 and the PlayStation Portal remote player globally. We know that these price changes impact our community, and
I bet they
after
do.
Careful evaluation, we found that this was a necessary step to ensure that we can continue delivering innovative, high-quality gaming experiences to players worldwide. Man, guys, I don't know what to tell you. We just can't avoid it. I don't know what to do. It's AI taking over the world. It couldn't possibly have anything to do with Sony funding over 12 live service games only to cancel half of them, burning hundreds of millions of dollars in the process. It couldn't possibly have anything to do with the lack of first-party output, the 8 studios they've shut down over the past couple of years, the estimated $400 million they burned on Concord.
By the way, somebody showed me some internal documents for like investment documents about Concord. It was actually more. You'd be shocked how much it was.
The fact that their biggest bet, Marathon, which allegedly was around $250 million budgeted before marketing, which means it's probably closer to $400 million all in, only managed to make over just $1 million in sales, and less than a month later is now averaging 36,000 players on Steam, a platform that makes up roughly 70% of their audience. All of these guys are making the exact same mistakes. And now those same companies are trying to come to you and they're trying to gaslight you into believing that these price increases are somehow out of their hands.
The best example to prove that the price increases are not necessary is Expedition 33. That's the proof right there. That's a game that has AAA level quality, that had well-known, successful voice actors, and all of these things were in the game. And it was $50. It wasn't even $60.
This is them pushing accountability and the cost of their own failures directly onto the customer. All to keep their shareholders happy instead of just taking the hit, digging deep, and rebuilding their trust and reputation that they have destroyed. We were once told that game prices would come down when the industry shifted into digital, but instead we just got the opposite.
I didn't think about that. That's actually a good idea. I was thinking about COVID. How many of you guys, oh, the prices are going up because of COVID. Okay, well, that makes sense. Then the pandemic's over, they stay up. That's what it was.
I'd like to also remind people that the $70 price increase didn't happen until lockdowns, when publishers and console makers were making more money than they were actually spending. They had more engagement, more investment than they ever had seen in their entire lives. Even when these guys are winning, they're still pretending like they're losing.
Eventually, because of inflation and the way that our financial system works, like assuming that we live for another like 50 years, the odds are that we will be looking back fondly on $100 video games. But the problem is that, like, basically wages, income, the amount of quality of the games is not going up at the same rate that the price is going up.
This is an industry that built itself on lower and middle income households, and they are now slowly cutting those people out of the picture. Gaming becomes a luxury. And I genuinely do not understand how any of these companies can look at that and think that this makes any sense. This is your audience. This is the people that you need, and you're now making it harder and harder for these guys to be able to buy in at all. Once you start pricing those people out, I don't see how this doesn't kill the console market in the next 5 years. PlayStation, especially, if their whole new strategy now is to keep their games off of PC, then shrinking your console audience is just going to destroy you. The only way that this makes any sense to me is if these guys have decided that they don't need ordinary people anymore, that wealthy households who now make up the majority of sales can carry the market.
I hate the fact that he's probably right about this, because this is literally the business model of gacha games, where the majority of people are like very, very light to free-to-play spenders, like non-spenders. Maybe they buy a battle pass or something, and then the entire game is funded by whales, basically.
Now, we already know that lower and middle income households are buying less and less hardware. And the more expensive that hardware gets, the harder it is for players to enter, which means there are fewer people around to be able to buy games at all. And once that happens, these giant full production games that these guys are making starts making less and less sense. Imagine what's going to happen to the people that are already barely hanging on and using games as one of the very few things that they could still afford.
You are going to be out there picking mints in Genshin Impact. No, you can't afford the new limited time banner character. No, you can't buy her weapon. No, you can't get her alternative outfit. But you can pick the mints and do your dailies. That's right.
You know, one of the reasons why PC has been taking off over the past couple of years, getting bigger and bigger, is largely because people have been able to stretch older hardware a lot further than I think the industry thought that they would be able to. I just seen recently that over 50% of players on PC are still playing games at 1080p. Most of these guys are not chasing the highest end hardware. They're just chasing something that's going to last as long as possible. Also, they're probably not playing a lot of these AAA games anyway, but console's an entirely different beast. These guys don't have a choice. They're gonna get drugged forward whether they like it or not. The games start running like garbage, looking like garbage, or the console makers or the game makers just stop making games for them entirely. No wonder PlayStation has been having such a hard time getting people off of the PS4. People can't afford it.
And now they're forcing people off of the PS4 by ending support to different things. Like, for example, Genshin Impact, it was like today or yesterday, announced that they're going to be ending support for the PS4. Like, I had to stop using my PS4 because it literally wouldn't update anymore.
All this is doing is shrinking your console base, which is also then cutting off new buyers. And by extension of that, it's crashing your hardware appeal, it's killing game sales, and it's just dragging the rest of the games industry down with it.
I think he's bringing up a good point, especially with like second order effects of controller sales. Like, all of the other ancillary accessories are now having a much smaller market that they can be sold to.
I try to be a champion of fair pricing because, honestly, it is just my biggest concern, not only as a content creator, but just as a person. And no matter how much success I find or how old I get, I'm always going to be worried about how much something costs because it's just baked into my DNA at this point. Even more so with video games because they were so instrumental in keeping me out of trouble and helping me make friends and keeping me sane and, most importantly, helping me save money.
Well, I feel like for a lot of us, video games were like the benchmark that we graded the value of everything else. Like, whenever my mom would tell me, if I buy you this, that's like 1/10 of a video game. Everything was structured around the price as a relation to maybe either a fast food meal or a video game.
A lot of millennials, I graduated high school, immediately went to college for something that I was not cut out for, maxed out my credit cards, built up college debt, dropped out, and then found myself stuck working dead-end jobs, trying to survive, and just trying to figure out who the hell I even was. Years and years of living paycheck to paycheck, years of feeling stuck. And through all of that, the one thing that I always had was video games, the one affordable thing, the one thing that I could hold on to, the one escape that I had. And now I'm watching entire generations and entire households get locked out of it entirely. The first people getting hit by all this are low-income households, which is exactly what is making this so disgusting to me. The people who need access to cheaper entertainment the most are the ones that are being cut off from it, especially depending on what kind of living conditions you grew up in. Gen Z, Gen A, students, casual gamers, low-income households, all of these groups are just getting pushed further and further out of the market because either these guys just flat out don't have the money for this, or they can't justify spending that kind of money on something that they just don't have enough free time to be able to make worth it, especially at these prices. People need joy in their lives, or they start to lose their damn minds.
They're kids.
Back when I was stuck working at a gas station, back when I had no money to go out, I couldn't go out to concerts or anything like that with my friends, and I felt like I was going nowhere, video games were still there for me. Night after night, I'd be playing online hockey leagues and dumping what felt like hundreds of hours into an RPG. And honestly, if I didn't have that, I don't know where I would have ended up. I think what bothers me the most about all of this is that I already know where this all ends. They do not intend to leave these people behind. No. They intend to use them to squeeze more money out of them. Mobile subscriptions, cloud gaming, maybe even leasing consoles like PlayStation has already floated in the past.
Exactly.
It's a way to keep people exactly where they are, stuck in a cycle of smaller payments while owning absolutely nothing at all, paying way more in the long run because the price is broken up just enough to feel manageable while they're able to keep them on the hook forever. And the worst part is that this already works, which is exactly why these guys are going to keep doing it. Luckily, there is a bright side to all of this. The more inaccessible, predatory, and disgusting that these people continue to make video games, the more they just keep shoving players into the arms of somebody else. And in doing that, not only are they making their own problems worse, but they're also strengthening the very competition that is eating their market share. Competition that respects their time a lot more, competition that respects these players' freedom a lot more. And right now, that means indie games and Valve. It wasn't all that long ago that we were talking about the pricing crash on Steam, where AAA games were not only losing market share, but getting outsold by indie games, but also average price of games being sold on the platform had fell with it. The median price had dropped from around $20 to just over $14. People have not lost interest in gaming. They're just being forced to be a lot smarter with their money. And
well, I think also like a big component to this also is that a lot of the AAA video games focus on content and mechanisms that are not important to the player. Like for example, like in Crimson Desert, there's a lot of features in Crimson Desert that I think most players don't really care about. Crimson Desert's a very great game, but at the same time, it has a lot of features in it that really are unnecessary that nobody really gives about. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Why do you have a house building system in Assassin's Creed Shadows? Is this really something that is increasing the user base? A lot of these AAA games have a lot of features and functionalities that increase the cost of the game, but not the value of the game.
Valve updated its regional pricing tools to help developers automate their pricing based on local purchasing power, not just flat currency conversion. Valve is effectively making it easier for developers to price their games in a way that real people can actually afford. While some of the biggest companies in the industry are trying to find more ways to make gaming more expensive, more restrictive, and more predatory, somebody else is out there trying to make games easier to make, easier to distribute, easier to make money off of, and easier for people to actually afford. You got one side that's building ladders, and the other side is trying to build toll booths. This industry keeps choosing to push normal people out of gaming, well, then they're definitely going to deserve what comes next. I remember this one time where I was uninsured, no savings, and I chipped a tooth. And for basically an entire month, I had to eat Tylenol like it was candy until I could save up money. And then I finally got the crown, and when I did, I still had to make payments on it. But the entire time that I was going through all of that, one thing that I had was that I had a crippling addiction to playing EA NHL. It saved me a lot of money, and it also saved me a lot of pain. It got me through it. That's why I take all of this so seriously. This is why I want people to have fair access to entertainment, because I know how important it is. When you're coming from low income, everything is chip damage. Everything is built against you.
It's expensive to be poor. There are so many hidden fees and costs and things that poor people have to deal with that rich people don't ever think about. Or even, and this is not even rich people, these are people that are financially secure.
I worked across the country working 14 to 16-hour days, 7 days a week, just to be able to crawl my way out over 4 years to find security. Then I stumbled into this job. The entire time, I just learned how everything is built against you. And here you now have these game companies that want to come in and they want to add another layer on top of that. This is not going to work out for these guys. Abandoning the lower and middle class is essentially just going to dry up all of your earnings.
It will happen over time. He and I are great examples of this. Now we're very financially secure. We're doing well. We can buy whatever the we want. Here's the difference. We grew up not being able to do that. And the habits that we developed as we were growing up leads us to continue playing these video games and spending more money. So basically, it's like you're cutting off the evolutionary cycle where you don't have younger people that didn't have a lot that found a refuge in gaming that then got older and got more discretionary income. When you don't have that, now you've lost your pipeline to your high-end users. That's the problem. And that's a long-term problem that manifests in 20 years, not overnight.
These guys are just going to continue to lose money at an ever-increasing rate, and it's going to get to the point where it's just going to collapse these companies entirely.
That's not a bad thing. That's nature. It's natural selection with business, right? It's the free market working.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it on social media. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you guys for watching.
No, it's a good video. It's a really good video. I mean, you guys can tell, right? I mean, I'm pretty passionate and I'm very opinionated about this. Like for a lot of other people, like they might not care about it in the same way that I do.
Imagine being...
I definitely care about this a lot.